today the link will take you to this site and you have to find the volume. But there are some of these that I will want you to skip. It's been a few days since I reminded you. We know how to multiply times decimal or times fractions yet, but we are doing volume this week to practice multiplying with decimals. So the decimals, the fractions that will be easiest to turn into decimals. If you have a denominator, a number on the bottom that is a 5, doesn't matter what's on top, the 5 on the bottom will work to turn into a decimal very nicely. A 2 on the bottom will turn into a decimal very nicely. A 4 as the denominator, that's what we call the bottom number, that will turn into a decimal very nicely. They don't have too many of these on here that I've come across. If they have a 10 as the denominator, that is a beautiful fraction to turn into a decimal, because you know the first place to the right of the decimal is the 10th place. So however many tenths it says you have, you would put that digit in the 10th place. Reminder of how this is done. You take the top number, 4, divided by the bottom number, which is 5. 5 times nothing is 4, so you know you will need to go into the decimal areas. Bring the decimal straight up. Then you have as many zeros after the decimal as you need. Now, 5 didn't go into 4 any whole amount, but now that we look at it as this will be 8 times 5 gives you 40. So when you are finding the volume of this problem, you won't look at it as 5 4/5 for the width. You would look at this as 5, and we're going to substitute 8/10 instead of 4/5. That shows the same amount. So then you know you would take the length, which is 2, times the width, so the most digits goes on top, and you don't line up decimals because you are not adding or subtracting. So you would multiply that, doink the decimal once because there's one place after the decimal. Take that answer times 5. So you would not skip a problem that has 4/5 as the fraction. You will not skip a problem that has 1/2 as a fraction. You could do this. You would just take 1 divided by 2. Or if you already know that this will come out to be 5/10, you would substitute 5 and 5/10 because decimal 5 is the same amount as 1/2. If you already know some of those, you can skip the math to prove it. 2/5. It does have a 5 on the bottom. You absolutely can say 2 divided by 5 decimal. You can almost see what's coming, can't you? 4/10. So instead of 4 2/5, you would substitute 4 because you keep the whole things. 4/10 substitutes for the 2/5. You could absolutely do this problem, length times width times height, and just multiply with the decimal. Another 2/5 on the bottom. We just figured this out. If you got this problem, you would multiply times 3 and 4/10. If you don't remember why, rewind the video, right? So your first part of the problem would be 3 and 4/10 length times your width. So 3 and 4/10 times 3. You would get that answer, doink the decimal once. You would take this answer times the height. So you could absolutely do this problem. So far, they have not given me any denominators that are unfriendly. However, just a reminder, oh, here's 3/4. If you think money, you could figure out the decimal already, but 3 divided by 4 doesn't go in there. I need to put the decimal, 0. 4 times 7 comes close. That's 28. Oh my goodness, I have a remainder. Can I do that? Nope, I can't stop with the remainder. So there's the 2. I need to add another 0. Bring this 0 down. Now it will end. So instead of 5 3/4, you would multiply times 5 75/100ths. So you would take 5 75/100ths times 2. That answer, you would have to move the decimal 2 places, and that answer would still need to be multiplied times 3. Now here's the problem. They want this answer as a fraction. So it might tell you that you are wrong if you can't figure out how to go back into the fractions after the decimals. I don't mind that. I don't hold that against you. Once you have it figured out as a decimal, hit the check answer as you put in a fraction. See if you're close. If you're not, submit so it can tell you what the correct answer would be, and that fraction should look like it would go back to a decimal for you. So not all of these necessarily will come out and show you, yes, you're exactly right, no, you're not. If you have a question on one like this, send me all of the work and I'll let you know if you got it right or not. But your assignments for today are just to go to this place. You need to skip the problems you need to skip. I'll show you again. It tells you what problems do you skip. If there is a 3 in the denominator, if there is a 7 in the denominator, if there is an 8 in the denominator, if there is a 6 in the denominator, or if there is a 9 in the denominator. Those are the problems that you may skip. But as you saw, most of the problems that it was giving me had 2s or 5s or 4s in the denominator. Those you may not skip. You need to do 5 problems. Send me a screenshot of your score after 5 problems. That is your assignment for today.